Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about the idea of commodifying your life for content, which is in a bit of a cynical way what I'm doing at the moment really. I mean, what are these videos if not me just wandering around rambling my soul out onto the camera, right? Think about this, in a technological sense, anyone out there could take all of these videos, compile my voice into a series of data sets with various moods, emotions and so on and so forth. I've done a bit of anger, I've done a bit of sad, I've done a bit of happy, etc, right? Put all of that in some kind of AI algorithm sort of thing and then just make my voice say whatever it wants. You could have my voice say all sorts of things that I would never agree with. And what am I to do about it? Because I've commodified my life for the sake of YouTube money, right? That's basically what this is, essentially. And every sort of person on the internet that you follow that has a bit of a following or whatever, that makes videos or streams or whatever, they're all doing it. Every single one of them. And they all grapple with this idea of like, how do we take the fact that one, this is a job, even if it's a side hustle, it's still a job, it's something that you do semi-professionally, right? You combine that with the fact that you have a private life outside of this. Particularly if you're doing the sort of thing that I'm doing, which is the whole earnest sort of thing, where part of what you like about these videos is the fact that you think that I'm sort of being myself. And I basically am. Like, I mean, I'm being a bit more dictatorial about it, and I'm enunciating my words a little bit more, and I'm not mumbling and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, in certain conversations, you know, I'll be a little bit different. I'll be a bit different with my friends, then a little bit different with my parents, etc, right? As we all are, because we're not all completely one note. If you meet me in real life, I might not be exactly like this. I might be having a bad day. I might be a little bit, yeah, you're right. Yeah. You might not be able to pick that up on the mic. That's how much I'm mumbling, right? So I think every big or small creator, YouTuber that is doing this on a level where they're making any kind of money from this, because I am now technically making money on this. So no longer I think are my opinions and the way that I preach things, are they completely innocent anymore? Because now I have money behind me from one of the biggest companies in the fucking world, Google, right? And like, I'll probably take sponsorships. I'm not someone that will say, ooh, no, I'm too pure for sponsors. That's not, I'm not gonna take some bloody scam thing. I'm not just gonna promote any old shite, but I'll still take some sponsorships at some point. I'll you know, monetize this channel in various ways. Like, the idea is to make money, and I don't think you should hide that fact, because every fucking YouTuber does it. The only difference is that some of them won't tell you that they're doing it for money, right? And it's not like I will sell various aspects of the authenticity of these videos for the sake of money. I wouldn't do that, because I do have some level of responsibility with this platform to use it for good, right? And I started thinking, like, I have like what, 5,500 subscribers now. I've got like 800 returning viewers according to the analytics, which means that's people that return to each video, pretty much all of them, and they comment and they're fans and all that sort of stuff, right? So I've got people that will follow this and listen to what I have to say. So should I be using this platform to promote good causes? Well, in a way, yes, I should. That would be the good moral thing to do, because it would help, you know, all the hungry people out there that are out there in the world. It would help all the people that are being impoverished or stuck in war zones or whatever, right? There's loads of horrible stuff going on in the world, and I could use this platform to try and, you know, quell some of it, even if it's like just helping one person. That would be good. But at the same time, you know, when you're watching TV and the adverts come on and it's like, ugh, this starving child in Africa is so sad and it needs your help. And it's like, shut the fuck up. I don't care. And it's like, obviously you do care about like the fact that there's starving people in the world, and that makes me feel terrible. But I don't want to feel terrible right now. I want to feel happy and watch some dumb shit on the internet, you know? I don't want to think about the fucking wars that are going on, the genocides that are going on, and all the bloody starving people, the billions of people that are going hungry right now. But that's from a place of privilege where I can actually say that and not give a shit, right? So should I be using the platform to promote more good causes? And I sort of sat and I thought about that, and it's kind of, well, yeah, but you don't want to YouTubeify yourself either, because he goes on, he's always banging on about something, isn't he? Radiohead has started doing it. They bang on about whatever the new cultural issue is. And if you do that, you end up getting sucked in, because there's so many of them There's so many of these issues that are going on. If you talk about one, then you get done for not talking about the other. And there's all of them. If I try and talk about all of them, that one means I've got to research more, which I don't have time for. I'm making videos and I'm making films and I've got life to live, right? And two, it also means that it ends up introducing yourself into this endless fucking culture war where there's people on both sides that are annoyed at the other one for supporting this and not supporting that. And like I've done a video all about that specific topic on trying to stay apolitical while still having beliefs and core values, because I do think that those things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Like I, for instance, am on the left side of politics and I will stand by my politics on that side. But at the same time, I will try and tune out the overwhelming amount of crap that gets fed onto you by this platform, YouTube, right? And all the other ones, all the Twitters and the Facebooks, you scroll down them and it's just like, Jesus Christ, it's depressing, the stuff that's coming out of these things and the way everyone gets so agitated and arsy of one another. And I don't appreciate that. So I kind of want this to be a haven from that. But at the same time, that means that I'm leaving random issues to be, go unspoken about, right? So I don't know in terms of that. And at the same time, if I have a platform and I say the wrong thing, not in terms of like offending someone or whatever, but I just mean in terms of giving the wrong advice, giving the wrong idea across, or maybe even if I just phrase what I'm saying poorly so that you take the wrong idea from it and that ends up impacting you in a negative way. I don't want to do that kind of thing, because I'm just some guy. I get stuff wrong all the time, just the same way that you do, or that bloody they do, or whoever is out there, And what am I going to do in regards to, say, if this channel really grows and grows and grows, and it gets, say, 1 million subscribers? Let's pray for that, right? How am I going to? Because I feel like I'm understanding why YouTubers are the annoying way that they are, because it's this draw. Like I feel this negative sort of draw, almost this like black light that's trying to get me to be a bit more of this annoying, stereotypical, like, smash that like button and all that bullshit, right? I know I want to subscribe to this channel. I like the videos. I'm going to subscribe. You don't need to keep fucking telling me, right? It annoys me when people do that. So I never tell. I might leave a comment, right, about certain things. I might raise a question for the sake of it, for the sake of like. But then also, that's not totally innocent either, because I'm doing it to drive engagement, right? So nothing here is totally innocent, right? And this is me telling this to you quite honestly and earnestly, right? Which again is another form of manipulation. Everything every fucking YouTuber does to try and deceive you into forming this parasocial relationship is deceptive in some form, even if they have good intentions by it, right? And like, I can't now sit here and say I have good intentions. I do, but it's hard for me to say that because I'm here giving you the kind of insider look, at least what I think is the insider look, onto how these larger channels operate and how, not necessarily how they logistically operate, but how they emotionally operate and how they sort of see what's going on and how they think about the audience and the reason that they're making these videos and all that sort of stuff. And, I do kind of start to understand it now. I understand why they put the smash that like button bullshit on there. I see why they do the Mr. Beast style fucking thumbnails. I see why they do the, hey guys, all the fucking shouting and swearing and all that stuff. I kind of get it, right? Because I've had the impulse to try and do that for the sake of my own viewership and the sake of growing my channel, because that's what it's all about. It's all a fucking numbers game, right? Recently, I watched Animator versus Animation, the Green Influencer arc, which is a really shit title for it should have been called like Animation versus Influencers or something like that. But anyway, the whole point of it is there's these little stick figures that live in the desktop computer world, right? And they can press buttons, they can go on Chrome, they can play solitaire, all this sort of stuff, right? And one of them becomes a YouTuber and they start becoming this TikTok head and like they get really annoying about it and they start to alienate their friends because of the content that they're making. Not necessarily the content they're making, but how they're treating everything around them, right? That's kind of what is going on here. And he ends up isolating himself in a realm of numbers and analytics. And you know what? I felt myself doing that. I was at the pub the other day and I was looking at the analytics app on my phone and I said to my mate, I really need to uninstall this app because it's taken over my life. And he went, yep. Wasn't like a, no, don't worry about it. It was like a full, yep. Like clearly, yes, you are. So I've uninstalled the analytics app on my phone. It's still on the desktop computer and it's still on the laptop because I can't uninstall Chrome really, or internet, because then I just get Internet Explorer and I just do it on that. You know, and I've uninstalled the app before and then re-downloaded it, and then uninstalled it again and re-downloaded it. So there's no necessarily escaping these numbers on this drive, because I know what each one of those fucking views means. It means that someone has bothered to click on this. I know what seeing 150 fucking search terms for one of my videos means. It means that people clearly like it so much they've gone out their way to Google it, and in some of those circumstances it's them watching it on their own. Some circumstances will be like, maybe you've got a mate round and you show them one of my videos. I met someone who, they said that they were a fan of my videos, and they said they watched them with their boyfriend. Hello to them, they know who they are. And yeah, it's amazing to know that that is what each of those numbers and those bars on the fucking graph mean, right? But at the same time, it's very easy to get the fucking money eyes and to become very greedy about it. And I understand why they become so greedy about it now. The general YouTubers out there, you know how you find a YouTuber and they're very, very good, and then they sell out and they get worse and they become some really annoying personality, or they become a alt-right grifter or whatever, right? And they just become a generally unpleasant person. You're sick of them by that point, right? I worry that that would happen to me. I don't want to become like that, because that feels like it would be me selling my soul, my personality, and I feel like I'm already selling my soul in a weird little way. So I try and grapple with this idea that there are so many people out there that are engaging with what I'm doing and that like and appreciate and find inspiration from what I'm doing. There's been people who've said that they paint to my videos, that people that have made albums because of me, right? There are people that have like started to get their life back on track because of me, and like all sorts of positive experiences have come from me just walking around. Like the only way I make these videos, right? Do you know how I make them? Basically, I'm going to see a mate right now, right? I leave like 3 hours earlier than I need to, and I just wander around their local area and just do some videos. That's all this is. I've got a lav mic here, right? It's attached to the phone, right? And then I get back, edit it, quick little sync the audio and the video, put the 4 free overlays on the side. Let's get rid of those. See, that's what this looks like. Let's take the color correction off. That's what this looks like. You know, it's not that good, is it? It's all right, I guess. Let's put it back. There we are. And this is basically all it is. It's not really some mad special operation or anything like that. And you know, I want to keep it like this for as long as possible. I don't want to corporatize this. I don't want to turn it into some kind of big production house. But at some point, I'm going to have to register myself as self-employed, because I'm starting to make enough money that I need to actually do that. So that's something that needs to actually happen. So it's already corporatizing by default, okay? And yeah, sure, registering yourself as self-employed isn't exactly the same as opening up a 500 square meter office in Shoreditch or anything like that, but it's one step on the path to success, my path to success, which is different from your path to success, which is different from one of the commenters' path to success that you might have seen. Your friends will have various ways of getting to success, because some of them are doing like, I don't know, rising through the ranks of a retail job. Some of them might be getting into corporate stuff. Some of them might be doing this. I don't know, all sorts of things like that. And so if you're making videos like this and you're basically selling yourself and your voice to YouTube and the Google algorithm at large, right? I feel like the best way to take comfort in that is that you're not selling your soul necessarily to the company, who have access and rights to repurpose and reuse your footage however they see fit. Neither is it to the you know, the nasty, nefarious people that will be out there trying to manipulate what you say into something that you didn't mean. It's the people that take the inspiration, it's the people that find encouragement, and the people that start to set their lives right because of this, or even if they just find some comfort. This is the nice thing, they like to sit down and eat some food, have their dinner while they're watching these, or maybe they listen to them while they go to sleep and it's a nice little voice in the ear or whatever, you know. Maybe you watch it while you're, like, it's a nice voice in your ear while you're at the gym or you're on the bus or whatever, you know. Or maybe you just sit and you just get pissed and stoned and you watch these videos. I put out a poll and I asked how people watch these videos and what circumstances what people watch these videos, and I think it was like 16% get pissed and stoned while they watch these videos, and I think like 40% do it while they're eating food or doing chores around the house. So if you're doing that, if you're hoovering, hello, it's hard to hear over the sound of the Hoover, because you know it's quite loud, unless you've got one of those new sort of automated Hoovers, you know, the ones that kind of whoosh sort of around like that. But then you wouldn't need to do the hoovering, so I don't know why that'd be a big deal. So anyway, I feel like this video is starting to run its course, so I'll kind of wrap it up by just saying, I don't actually know who that was. I'm sure I do, but it's someone that's, oh, sorry. I'm sure I do know who that was, but it's just someone that's like kind of, you know, you met them once and you remember a bit of a face, but not totally. I don't remember a name. Maybe I met them at a pub or something like that, not sure. Anyway, to wrap the video up, it's not that it feels like you're commodifying your life. It's that you get yourself down about this idea and you worry about it, and it's very easy to catastrophize and to see the worst. But at the same time, know that everything tends to work itself out to some degree, and that the issues that you're thinking of aren't really the issues that are the most important ones. And it'll be something that you can never anticipate that will become the real issue, right? What an ominous note to finish the video on. Yeah, don't worry about it because there's something way fucking worse over here. So, yeah, I suppose that's going to be it from me. Hope you managed to get something out of this. If you're a small creator that's started to get monetized, how are you grappling with the fact that now you have money behind you, you're no longer a completely innocent voice in this endless sea of voices, right? How do you cope with that fact? How do you learn and develop and grow into a person that can understand their position? So that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a good rest of the day, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye. I do have to look because I want to make sure the camera's still there, because it's a bit freaky, you know? Yep, still there. Because there's no one sitting behind the camera, it's just sat on the table. Alright, that's good. I felt like a long one. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the quality of video, film, music, etc., and compare that to the effort that actually goes into these things. And is it necessarily that effort correlates to quality? Now, if you've seen any of these videos before, you'll know that the answer to that is no, at least in my opinion, it's no. But I recently just got a comment. I was actually filming my last video and I came over here, and as I was walking to the next location trying to find another shot, I was sort of scrolling through my phone and I got a notification, and I can read you the exact comment actually. It said something along the lines of, we don't need more crap, we need more beautifully crafted pieces of art. It was something like that. Here it is. We don't need more shite, we need more beautifully carved out, meaningful treasure. Okay, there's a response to that. This isn't about putting out albums for others, it's making albums for practice so you build up the skills to make an incredible one. So that guy that responds to it, yeah, that is certainly one aspect to it, but taking that aside, taking aside the idea of making things and creating art for the sake of practice, because the idea of that would be to eventually create something that's good anyway. The goal of making a load of shite is to make all your shite so that you can make something good, either amidst the shite or having made the shite and then going and looking back at it and seeing what you did wrong and how you can improve on it. Taking that all aside and just making shite for the sake of making shite, I think has a charm all of its own, has a beauty to itself. Because why does it need to be good necessarily? Look at, say, The Room, for instance, from Tommy Wiseau. That's not a good film, that's a terrible film, but people love it. And I think, obviously they like it ironically at first, but I think as time goes on, you start to appreciate it just on its own little qualities. Like, I don't like the film. I've never been a guy that's particularly into The Room, but a film that I do like is Love on a Leash. I just think it's so much fun. And it almost, because what's weird about it is a terrible film, but it's terrible in a fun way. And that on its own can be really engaging in and of itself. So I think the single definition of quality that we can't necessarily materialize and can't actualize, we can't say for sure what makes a film high quality. We could certainly look at, you know, is it filmed on certain cameras? Does it have professional lighting and sound? Is the acting convincing? Are the locations varied and interesting and well put together? Is the directing style not even necessarily unique, but just well put together and fitting for the themes of the film. And that is the film well written in that, are the themes interesting, not overly explored, or if they have been, maybe explored in an interesting way, or maybe it's just really well executed. A simple idea, but done really well. You know, there's so many ways to define what a good movie is, but I don't think there's nearly as many definitions of what makes a bad film. Not even close. I think what makes a bad film is quite simple. It's just a lack of quality. The same way that, I don't know, you go to hell because you have a lack of belief in God. And like the idea of sinning is a lack of God. I think this is like a lack of quality is what makes something bad. So I wouldn't say that The Room is a bad film, because it has qualities about it that are entertaining and engaging. And, you know, I mean, any film that has as many quotes to it as that film, I don't think can be bad. Even if it's filmed like absolute shite, even if it looks terrible, even if the acting in itself is what would be generally considered to be quite low quality, I don't think you can necessarily say the film itself is low quality, because it's managed to resonate really well with a lot of people. But then, is that what makes something good? Because by that logic, the fact that The Room resonated with people, but I don't know, some random Yugoslavian art house drama made by some nobody that is maybe like not objectively better, but would be considered far superior in terms of a piece of art, and as far as quality is concerned, that would mean that The Room is the better thing, because it's helped more people and engaged more people and done more things. That would mean that Taylor Swift is the best musician that ever lived. But I don't necessarily think that that is the case. I don't think that, you know, what counts as necessary quality can be defined in any strict way. I think what makes quality is just whatever people find in it. Look at all the crazy YouTubers that come out of the woodwork on this platform that make such really strange and personal and interesting kind of things that are like nothing else you've ever seen. And yet you really, really enjoy it because it feels genuine, it feels sort of true to maybe life, or maybe it's relatable, or maybe it's funny but in a new way that you're not necessarily used to, or maybe it's just a look into a culture that you're not particularly familiar with. Stuff like that. I mean, I remember I watched a film from Papua New Guinea, and it was really funny because the way that they talked in the film, they all talked really, really somberly about the craziest things. And then it turned into a bit of the Christians come and save everyone kind of thing towards the end, so I got a bit sick of it. But it was really fun while I was enjoying it, and then I kind of stopped enjoying it. But it was just really great to see another culture that is so far removed from suburban London that I just really got something out of it. It's the same way that I really love Who Killed Captain Alex from Uganda. It's the same. There's an Iraqi film or a Syrian film that I can't remember the name of it. It was set in the post-apocalypse. Really amazing. It wasn't like low budget either. It looked really professional. It looked really, really good. It looked like the sort of thing that might have had a budget of like $30 million if it was made in America, but I don't think it had a budget like that. I think it had a budget of like 2 million or 3 million or something like that. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful film. It's the same reason I love Time of the Gypsies and Underground from, where are they from? I don't think they are Yugoslavian. I think Yugoslavia was gone by that point. Yeah, it was from that general region. You know, so you've got so many films out there that are all good in different ways. Like, I think people like Avengers Infinity War in a different way that they like, I don't know, A Clockwork Orange. I bet you could talk to people that would have just as much affinity for the Avengers Infinity War and then talk to other people that have just as much affinity for A Clockwork Orange. But they might not overlap because what makes those films good is so inherently different that you can't really compare them in any actual sort of way. People say that you can't compare apples and oranges and that sort of thing, but they are both fruit at the end of the day. So you can at least sort of recognize that there's a lot of good going on in cinema and in art in general, and it doesn't necessarily have to look how you expect. So yeah, do films need to be good? No, because what's not good to you might be good to someone else. Do albums need to be good? No. Do books need to be good? No. What do they need to be? They need to be interesting and engaging, thought-provoking. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Take care. Love you all. And yeah, keep making stuff. Just make as much stuff as you possibly can, while you can. and then look back and start making more stuff. So have a good rest of the day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Now watch this drive. Oh, what a shot. I don't think he actually took it. Come on, this be the one. This be a hole in one. This won't be a birdie, it'll be an eagle. Oh yeah! Yeah, hit that mother. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about songwriting, in particular how if you get too attached to one song in particular, it's going to impede your progress as a musician. Now, I recently came out with an album called Decisions in Another Language, and it's an album that I worked on for a long time, about nearly 2 years, right? Which for me is a very long time to be working on one singular project. And there's a song on it called Communication, which I did work on for 2 years. My first demo of it I recorded in February 2023, and I kind of kept recording more and more demos, and I'd record a demo, listen to it, go, oh, I don't quite like the guitar solo there, or oh, I need to add a new little B section here, or oh, I need to add some synths here, or oh, this bit actually needs to come into this bit, or oh, actually no, I need to restructure the entire thing. And I was just taking the same puzzle pieces and rearranging them time and time again, and looking at this picture and going, why doesn't it look cohesive? And I feel like if you do that and you get too attached to one song, it's going to get in the way of your progress as a musician, because you need to try and record as many songs as possible in order to learn and develop as a, creative. The only way that you're going to get better is by doing. And if you just get stuck in one thing in particular, you're not really doing anything new. You're just recording the same thing again and again and again and again. And you're going to end up looking at it and just kind of going, yeah, it's all right, I guess. And then that's it. And then now, what do you do with this? You've spent so long on it that it's risen in your mind as being this really big thing, and your vision is just this far away thing that you can never quite get to. You're always trying, you're always leaping for this vision each time you record a demo, and you never quite get there. And you're getting a little bit frustrated with yourself, like, why can't I get there? Am I not a good enough musician? Am I bad at playing the guitar? Am I bad at mixing or whatever? And it's like, yeah, I know I'm not a perfect mixer. I know I'm not great at playing the guitar. I know I'm not great at all these various things. But sometimes it all comes together and it manifests into something really interesting, because it's capturing lightning in a bottle. And you're sat in this giant monsoon with lightning going on all over the place with this big can of Coke, and you're trying to capture all this lightning in this bottle because it's made of metal, right? So you're trying to capture all this lightning. And if you're spending too long on one song, you're sat in the exact same place after the lightning struck, waiting for it to strike again. And they always say that lightning never strikes twice in the same place. So you're going to be sat there for a long time. I know technically it can strike in the same place twice. That's a myth, but generally it's not going to, more than likely. It's a sort of thing like, if you are trying to find someone in a shop, right? You went shopping with someone and you're in the supermarket, and then you kind of got lost from one another. If you're both wandering around trying to find each other, you're probably not going to find each other, compared to if one of you just stays there and the other one does the searching, you're more likely to be found. So in terms of this metaphor, I feel like what you should be doing, instead of perfecting this one song and trying to get it to this one spot where you're finally happy with it, just accept that this is what the song is, this is the song, this is the finished product, and you're only going to just make the finished product again and again and again, because this is what it is. It's not going to be anything that it isn't, because this is what it is. So you need to make it and move on, okay? You need to move on to greener pastures, you need to make new stuff. I find that if I just record 1 or 2 demos, right, so maybe spend a week on a song, that's the ideal amount of time, and that's when you get, because you have all the passion, it's when you feel it the most intensely. If you're trying to come back to a song that you wrote like a year ago, and you're trying to make it better or bigger, or your true vision, now that you see the true vision, you're not going to quite get there, because you don't have that same mindset anymore. Like with the song Communication that I talked about at the start of the video, it's a song that's about a topic that I don't resonate with anymore, and I had to go and I looked at the vocal track for it, and I just thought, I don't quite like the vocal track here, so I redid the vocals for it. And I just thought, well, it just doesn't quite feel the same. I don't have the emotional resonance to this song anymore, to the actual message of the song, because I've moved on. I've moved to a different spot in life, and so this song is no longer relevant to what I'm actually doing. And yet I'm trying to force it to be something that it isn't, okay? It's a little song that just does its own thing, and I'm trying to turn it into something that it's not. It's like having a kid that you know, is really into, I don't know, abseiling, right? And he would be a killer abseiler, right? But you're sat there like, no, you need to become an accountant. And you keep telling this kid, you need to become an accountant, you need to become an accountant, and you keep sending him to accounting school. And he comes back and he keeps failing the classes and he keeps showing a lack of interest. And you're wondering, what's wrong with this kid? Well, it's obvious what's wrong with this kid. He doesn't want to do fucking accounting. He wants to be an abseiler, okay? And this song doesn't want to be your vision of it. It wants to be what it is, okay? It's like how if you drive a car, you have obviously control over the car, but say if you've got icy roads or if you've got some kind of, I don't know, weird situation, maybe your clutch is a little bit broken, right? In this metaphor, all of those things are, I suppose, a lack of skill or a lack of development as a creative, and you're not brilliant at actually establishing your vision and achieving it, right? It's better to just keep doing stuff, because as you do it, you're going to hone your craft and you're going to get better at achieving your vision. You'll get better at driving, and the better you get at driving, the faster you can go, and the better you can drive, and you'll be able to turn the corners more efficiently. You'll be able to drift. You might be able to do donuts around the ring. You know, you can do all sorts of stuff like that once you get the skill. And even once you have the skill, I mean, look at Tool, for instance. Tool spent 13 years making Fear Inoculum. Is it their best album? No. Some would argue it's their worst album, and they spent so long doing it. And it's like, Numa's a good song, 7 Empist is all right. The rest of them, I don't fucking remember anything about them. I genuinely don't remember what they were like, what they sounded like, because they obviously spent so long recording them again and again and again, developing them and trying to force these songs to be something that they're not, that they end up just being streamlined. And I think that's the only outcome that comes from trying to perfect something that doesn't want to be perfect. This song doesn't want to be perfect, and I'm trying to force it to be. I'm trying to force this song to be an accountant when it doesn't want to be. It wants to be something else. It wants to be what it wants to be. So I should allow the song to guide me, rather than me trying to take the song by the reins and drag it along kicking and screaming, because all that's going to happen then is I've got an unconsenting song in a genre that it doesn't want to be in, doing stuff that it doesn't want to do, and trying to be something that it isn't. And I think that with making a song, if you spend too long getting caught up in the small details of, you know, your true vision and trying super hard to just get that and only that, you're missing out on all the potential other avenues that song could have taken, right? And one of them is more likely going to be better than what you actually had in mind for it. Because I imagine when you start a song, you kind of imagine like a dun 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 dun. You got a little thing in your head, right? And that is what you put down onto the page, and then that's what you end up playing, and that's what you put into the DAW. And then you sit down and you listen to it, and it sounds a little bit similar. You know, the melody's vaguely alike, but maybe it's heavier than you thought it was going to be. Maybe it's more acoustic than you thought it was going to be. Maybe you thought it was going to work on guitar, but it turns out it needs to be done on a piano, right? Maybe it's just different from how you originally saw it, and that's okay. It's okay for it to be what it is, okay? Because each song is already out there technically, because there's only 12 keys, there's only a certain amount of modes, there's only so many ways of making the same thing, in terms of there's only so many songs that are out there in potential existence. There's a lot, obviously, but there's only a finite number of potential sounds and potential directions, right? And it's just up to you to pluck a particular song out and call it your own, right? Because it's come from your mind and you've found it in your own head, and you've put it down onto you know, a sheet of sheet music, or you've put it into a DAW, and you've managed to turn it into something real, and you've manifested this song that previously was just an idea amongst many other ideas. I mean, think of the amount of people that you've probably spoken to that have had an idea for a song, or an idea for an album, or an idea for a film, or whatever, and they never went and made it, right? But they had the idea, and so obviously the song technically doesn't exist, but the idea for it exists. And all they can do is craft it from an idea into something that's actually malleable and actually there and actually tangible, right? So you're trying to make this song, and the song is also trying to realize itself. And you should accept that as part of the process, rather than trying to force the song to be something that it isn't. Because at the end of the day, if the song doesn't want to be that, then it doesn't want to be that. And if you just sit and try and force it, it's going to come out mutated and it's going to come out looking a bit weird. It's just not going to be right. It's the same way if that kid that wanted to be an abseiler ended up becoming an accountant, he's going to be miserable for the rest of his fucking life doing accounting. Right? He might, after 20 years, kind of get used to it and start going, right, okay, that's £4,000, right, yep, great. But he's going to be miserable throughout the rest of his life because he's not what he wants to be. He's not what he, and same way with the song. If the song isn't what it wants to be, it's not going to be quite right, and it will never sound quite right. And you can sit there and try and force this song down every single fucking direction that you can think of, but you'll never quite get it quite the same as when the lightning was there and when you felt the passion for this song in the moment. So what I would say to you is, rather than sitting and worrying about perfecting one song, is just do the song and right, that's the song, I'm done. Close the book, okay? And then move on to the next one, because you're never gonna get that song to its original vision, and that's okay, because the song is what it is, and that's fine. You can always try and make your vision with another song, or another song, and just keep doing things that way. There's no end to the amount of songs you can do, right? Like, I was speaking to a mate who wanted to do some development on my song, The Girl on the Balcony, right? He wanted to turn it into something, and I really liked his vision for it. And he sort of said to me, you know, I was a little bit miffed actually when you kind of just announced that you were going to release the song. And I was like, okay, that's sort of fair enough, but there's nothing stopping us from just making your equivalent of the song, calling it something else, and that's going to be it. Because it's just a basic thing in C# minor. You can have many songs in C# minor. You could just try the idea again, but with a different twist on it. You know, you could resolve it on some other level. You could maybe put a breakdown in as opposed to some, like, I don't know, quaint little bridge. Or maybe you could have a different chorus, maybe some big anthemic thing as opposed to what you had before. You could try different things. You can maybe make it faster. You could make it in a different time signature. You could just play with the form. And that's totally fine, because you can make as many songs as you want and there's no one out there to stop you. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up by just sort of saying, if you're trying to make a song at the moment and you've been working on it for a long time and it's really personal to you, so the fact that it's so personal means that you want to realize it to its fullest potential because it's such a personal thing to you. I think if you're going at it with that sort of intention, as I was with that song Communication, I think you're doing it wrong. And you're going to end up with a product that you're going to look back on and not be entirely happy with. You might look back at it and go, oh yeah, it's very well polished. You know, I clearly crafted it quite together and it's quite tight, but it doesn't feel like it's got soul anymore. It feels like I had to force it. And it shouldn't feel like you have to force it. Like, whenever I listen to, say, a Bob Dylan track, it never feels like I'm listening to someone's struggle to make a song. He makes it seem so easy. And that's where the fascination sort of comes in, and that's how the songs are able to manifest and realize themselves. And also, a lot of songs from bands, right, that then go on to play live, they'll develop the song as it goes on. Like King Gizzard, for instance, have a song called Float Along, Fill Your Lungs, which was on their third album. It's the title track. And it's like a 7-minute kind of sitar, George Harrison-y kind of drone sort of thing. And it's really nice, right? And over the next 8-9 years since that song came out, they've turned it from that into like this prog metal kind of fucking crescendo driven thing, right? Now, if they went into making Float Along, Fill Your Lungs with that in mind, and they would only be happy with the song once it achieved that, I don't think they would have ever made it. And that version, if they managed to do that in 2013 when the song came out, it wouldn't have been as good, and it wouldn't have developed into the song that it is today, and it wouldn't have become what it wants to be. So I would sort of suggest that, because I can always go back to Communication. I don't want to, but I could always go back to Communication, play it live, and like develop the ideas and sort of add a little extra section or jam out various ideas on it and come up with new stuff, and then take those ideas and put it into a new song, and then so on and so forth. And that's a very good way of working, because you find new ideas from the moment, rather than sitting there with your ideas on a sheet of paper that's gone yellow from coffee stains and all this, that and the other. That's like there's pins on it from when you pinned it on various different walls because it's been so long since you had this original idea that you have to remind yourself what the song even is and what it's about, that you're going to end up looking at the final product once you eventually finish it after possibly months or even years of struggling and letting it get on top of you. You're going to look at it and just be like, was all that effort worth it? Was it really worth it? Or was the first few demos of it, were they better? And I was just slowly sterilizing this thing over time. And that's the question I want to leave you with is, are you sterilizing your product by constantly refining it, or are you just refining it and perfecting it and getting closer to your vision? Do you think that when you spend a lot of time on something that correlates into a better quality product? Or do you sort of take my approach with it, where you should just throw as much stuff at the wall as possible, see what sticks, and then make your further things that you're going to throw at the wall out of that material that stuck? And then you're going to get more stuff that sticks to the wall, and eventually you've figured out exactly what sticks to the wall, and bam, you're hitting it like 90% of the time. Like that, whoosh, whoosh, and they're all sticking. So that's kind of the thing that I'd like to leave you on is, don't worry so much about trying to perfect this singular vision that you've kind of made really big in your mind, because you're never going to get there. And just the sooner you accept that, the sooner that you can move on and put whatever this song is behind you, because eventually it will just become this big weight on top of you that is just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, just getting you down, and it's sitting on top of you, and you're just like, get the fuck off me for a little bit, please. And once it's off you, it's brilliant. Because it's like, it's a weight off my shoulders, and I don't think that's how you should release a piece of art. I think that you should be proud of it from that moment. And I was kind of sick of communication by the time that it came out. I just wasn't happy with it anymore, but I was like, I spent 2 years on this and it's never going to get better than this. So that's kind of the end of the video, really. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, if you've made a song, tell me how long the longest that you spent working on a project was. And was that the best project that you made? So that's going to be the question, very concise question. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Have a great rest of the day and take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Hey up, everybody. My name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about anecdotes and how life is essentially a collection of anecdotes. You as an individual have had many experiences that have led you up to where you are today, right? And the person that you were 10 years ago is no longer the person that you are now, right? And why is that? It's because you've lived, it's because you've done stuff. And every time you've done something, it's changed your worldview. Some things maybe changed it a little bit. Maybe sometimes you had a big revelation because of some experience you had. Whatever it is, those little and big experiences all culminate to create the person that you are today, because you wouldn't be who you are if it weren't for the way that you lived. And whatever it is that you've done in the past, right, be it good or something that you're no longer proud of, it's all a lesson for yourself. Have you done something that you're not proud of, something that was perhaps quite nasty, quite mean-spirited or quite selfish? If you've taken away the lesson from it and then applied it to yourself for the future, then you have learnt because of that, and you wouldn't have been able to learn that lesson and not made those same mistakes again if not for the fact that you made those mistakes the first time. It's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to get things wrong, and it's okay to do things in a way that isn't ideal, right? Because you're never going to get everything to be perfect, and if you try, then you're going to end up being a little bit discontent, and you end up not doing very much at all, because you know, you can't always have great days. Not every day can be fucking brilliant. Not every day can be the best day of your life. And it shouldn't be an attempt to try and do that. What you should just try and do is just try and live as earnestly and true to yourself as possible, right? So I'm trying to think of a good anecdote that I could tell you that sort of represents this in a good way. And I think I'll start with this one. The way that I started this YouTube channel, the specific kind of videos that I'm doing. The first video that I did that actually kind of did numbers was the one that I did called Why I Dislike Central London. I was in Central London because I needed to meet a couple actors for the film that I'm making, Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, right? And I had to meet one actor at 5 o'clock and I had to meet the next actor at 8 o'clock. right? And the idea was I was going to meet another actor at like sort of 6:30, but they ended up sort of pulling out. So I sort of said to the actor that I was going to meet at 8, hey, can you do 6:30? They said they couldn't. So that's fair enough, right? So I figured, right, well, I've got 3 hours now. And I've got the camera. I might as well just film some videos where I talk to the camera and just see what happens with it. So I made one video. I was in front of the House of Parliament. So I thought, why not do a video about central London in general and why I dislike it? Because I'm in central London, right? And I made that video. That video ended up doing really well, and because of that I started doing more and more of these, and the more videos I've done, the more little anecdotes that have come along the way. Like today I went out filming and I stepped in a fucking bog. Like I was trying to cross a river and there was like these various stones that I had to sort of cross and make one. You know, in Takeshi's Castle you got to do, there's that one like the stepping stones thing. I was basically having to do that, and I ended up dipping this foot like this far deep. That's why it's all fucking muddy and stuff, and this foot stinks. This foot fucking reeks, right? But I did that and it was an experience. And now it's a little thing that if there is some conversation where we're talking about crossing rivers or going through nature in general, I have this to pull out. I have this little experience. Or there was a time I went out with my friend who's really into like survival, wildernessy sort of stuff, and we went out into the woods and he showed me like all the various like whittling and like you do this thing with the sticks to try and make a fire. He showed me all these various sort of things, and so now if that topic ever comes up down the pub or whatever, I can refer to the fact that I went out with this friend and the knowledge that he gave unto me. I can then try and pass some of it on to those people. And you know, it's the same way that if I talk to a historian and I have a really nice conversation with that historian, I can then I won't remember everything he said perfectly and I'll probably recount it wrong, but you know, it was an interesting little conversation and it can come in useful if it's relevant to this other conversation that we're having down the line, right? I had a really long and quite fun discussion with the sound recordist on one of my films, Scorched Earth, directed by myself and my good friend Jeffro, and it was Jeffro's idea, the whole film. He's the mastermind behind it. And we were sat in this Airbnb and we were talking, and it turned out he was a pastor or a vicar or something like that. And so I was just immediately intrigued and I just threw a barrage of questions at him. And you know, we ended up getting onto the topic of heaven and hell, and he had this really insightful way of thinking of heaven and hell. Kind of like, I don't know how to put it, because I don't really want to put words in his mouth. So this is a bad recounting of the way that he said it. But basically, like, the idea was heaven and hell are all here in a sense, almost like different dimensions, but not quite, almost in a spiritual way, if that makes sense. They're not like places that you go, they are kind of here already. And that's not a great way of recounting it, so I'm very sorry if I got it wrong, but the fact that I had that conversation with that person was so interesting to me that I've occasionally brought that up when religion has come about, and I've brought up that point because he made a really nice and salient point to me. And you know, that will happen as you talk to interesting people, and the more interesting people you talk to, the more interesting things you'll have to say down the line to other people. And that's kind of the key of it, is you're trying to make as much of an interesting life for yourself as you can possibly achieve. Because, you know, it's nice to sometimes have a relaxing day, but you can't always do nothing. Sometimes it's important to get out there and live, because the more that you live, the more that you will feel one with the world around you and you feel contented with yourself. There's nobody out there that feels truly happy that has just done nothing their entire life, right? They're deep down, even if they might say they're happy, deep down they're very unhappy. But someone who has gone out there and lived this crazy life, I'm not saying they will be happy by default because they've done that, but there is a higher chance that they will be happy the more life you live and the more positive and negative experience you have that can round out your worldview and your persona in regards to who you are and how you project yourself for others. You will be able to figure out an identity for yourself, and it's through those experiences that that identity comes around. Like, say if I'd been born in China, for instance, I would be sort of the same person at the core, but my personality would be shaped by the world around me. It's kind of the nature versus nurture sort of discussion at the end of the day. And, you know, if it would be very different to, say, if I was born in France or in the Congo or whatever, right? I would be a different person because my surroundings are different, and so I would have different experiences. You know, maybe I wouldn't go to open mics down in Isleworth. Maybe I would instead go to, I don't know, like sing-alongs and play-alongs out in the desert, right? Because that's my surroundings and that's where my community was formed and that's where I found myself and who I am in this thing, right? So whoever you are and whatever your circumstances are, they're more interesting than you think they are. They really are. You're not a boring person. You might get yourself down and feel like you're a boring person because maybe you try and talk and people like roll their eyes, but that's just the fact that you're with the wrong people, really. And if you can find the right people, then you will find yourself, because we aren't all just one. No man is an island and all that sort of stuff. And all you can do is just try and be the best person that you can be and just say yes to stuff. If someone invites you out and you've got like a little bit of energy to do it, then say yes, why not? Because even if it's something that you don't necessarily feel like doing, you might get there and maybe it will turn out you don't enjoy it and you'll be sat there sort of thinking, oh God, I want to go home, I want to go home. But you did go, right? And now you're back at home. Now you've done that experience, it's done, right? And now it's another little experience to pull out if it becomes relevant in a future conversation. So that's what life is. It's a collection of anecdotes. You've got thousands of anecdotes in your back catalogue, right? You've got a big library full of books, and sometimes you'll pull out a book when it's relevant to a conversation, flip through it and go, there we are, this thing happened, or this thing happened, or someone told me this and it reflected upon my worldview in this sort of way, or whatever, right? Because all you can do is try and be the most you can be and just go out there and live the most life that you can live whilst, balancing yourself with your energy. Like if you just go out and overwhelm yourself and just get yourself exhausted, like staying out till 4 in the morning on the piss every night, that's obviously sure, you might get back and in a few years you'll be glad that you kind of did it, or maybe you'll regret doing it. But the fact that you regret doing it is part of who you are today. And the fact that you didn't enjoy it has taught you a lesson. And everything teaches you something, even if you don't feel like it is. Even if you feel like it's not teaching you anything right now, that knowledge will become apparent once you see it, right? So I hope you managed to get something out of this video. I know it's a little bit all over the place. I hope it made some level of sense. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching this. Please leave your most interesting anecdote, or maybe your least interesting anecdote, down in the comments below. And we'll get a bit of a discussion going on, because we've all got fun stuff to say. We've all had experiences, and we all come from different cultures as well. So my experience down the pub is going to be different from an American's experience down the bar. That's going to be different from a Turkish guy's experience down the shisha place, or whatever, right? It doesn't matter, because you're only you, and you are you because of where you are, and that's fine. That's good, because it's important to be yourself. So thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.